Welcome to Report Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings news channel. Today, we bring you two pieces of news that are shaking up the NFL world and could directly impact the future of the Vikings. If you are a true fan and want to stay up to date with all the news and analysis, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Oh, turn on notifications so you don't miss any details about your favorite team. Now let's go to the first news. Vikings should target Max Brosmer as a smart late draft bet, and the reason goes beyond on-field talent. The Minnesota Vikings enter the 2025 NFL Draft with big decisions to make, and one of them could involve a name local fans are familiar with. Former Gophers quarterback Max Brosmer could be the next to don the purple and gold of the NFL. With J.J. McCarthy coming in as the future of the franchise and no backup quarterback on the roster at the moment, expectations are growing that Minnesota will look to add to the QB room. And while the focus is on developing McCarthy into a starter, Coach Kevin O'Connell knows depth at the position is essential, especially when looking to build a competitive and resilient roster over the course of 17 weeks or more. Max Brosmer, a name little talked about outside the Big Ten, but with great regional resonance, has been pointed out as a possible pick by the Vikings in the 6th round. And not just because of geographical proximity. Brosmer, at 6'2" and 225 pounds, has had an inspiring journey. After tearing his ACL while still at New Hampshire, FCS, in 2021, he came back with everything and threw, on average, 309 yards, 28 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions in the following seasons. The move to Minnesota in 2024 pitted Brosmer against some of the fiercest defenses in the country, Michigan and Penn State, for example, and yet he responded with composure, throwing for nearly 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. More than just numbers, Brosmer is known for his accuracy in intermediate passes, a quality that fits perfectly with O'Connell's offensive concepts, which value timing, quick reading, and smart decisions in the pocket. NFL teams often use the later rounds of the draft as a strategic betting ground. That's how it was with Joe Milton, Patriots, Devin Leary, Ravens, and Michael Pratt, Packers, in 2024. The goal is clear: find QBs with development potential, mold them into the franchise's system, and eventually value them as reliable backups, or even as trade assets. However, the case of the Vikings is more delicate. The franchise enters the draft with just 4 total picks, the fewest among the 32 teams. This means that each pick needs to be thought of as a precious currency. Spending a 6th rounder on a quarterback like Brosmer might seem like a luxury in a landscape with so many shortages, and with no 7th round picks, there's no room for error. Still, there are solid arguments in Brosmer's favor. In addition to the tactical fit, the quarterback impresses off the field. Gophers coach P.J. Fleck was full of praise, calling Brosmer one of the most special people he's ever worked with, and a perfect match to the college's system, a system that shares many of the same concepts as the Vikings' current offense. Minnesota itself hosted Brosmer for a pre-draft workout, which shows the interest goes beyond speculation. He may not be an immediate impact quarterback, but rather a developmental piece, a QB3 with the potential to surprise given the right time and support. The truth is, the Vikings could very well wait for Brosmer to be available after the draft and sign him as an undrafted free agent, UDFA, which seems like the most logical scenario given the scarcity of picks. But there are risks to this. Other teams could have the same plan as well. Therefore, making a trade on day 3 of the draft to acquire more draft capital and secure Brosmer safely could be a smart move. A 6th round pick may seem overpriced at first glance, but if the team believes in the player's potential as a rotation and developmental piece, the investment may be justified in the long run. Important to note, recruiting Brosmer does not solve the immediate depth problem at the position. The Vikings will still need to bring in a veteran to back up McCarthy, someone who can step in safely if the rookie has to leave. Brosmer, in this scenario, would be more of a bet for the future, competing with names like Brett Rypien for the role of third quarterback and eventual member of the practice squad. The modern NFL is a league where finding value late in the draft can be the difference between an average team and a contender. Max Brosmer may not be the flashiest name on the board, but his track record, technical profile, and mentality indicate that he could be exactly the type of player who thrives within a good system. If the Vikings can find the means to draft him, whether with an extra pick or as a UDFA, they will be taking a strategic step to protect the present and plant seeds for the future. And with Kevin O'Connell guiding the offense, any raw talent can become a key player. Jarquez Hunter, the perfect find for Kevin O'Connell's offense in the draft. In an offseason of uncertainty and renewed expectations, the Minnesota Vikings continue to search for pieces that can solidify their roster heading into the next phase of rebuilding. One of the sectors that still raises doubts is the backfield, and the ideal solution could be hidden on the third day of the draft. The name? Jarquez Hunter, Auburn's versatile and explosive running back. The need is clear. In 2024, the Vikings failed to establish a consistent running game, finishing the season a lowly 19th in total rushing yards. Aaron Jones, although talented, is already in his 30s, and Ty Chandler continues to oscillate between good moments and lackluster performances. Jordan Mason arrived via trade, but he doesn't represent a reliable long-term answer. With that, the draft appears as the most logical path and the most promising. Fortunately, 2025 brings one of the deepest running back classes in recent years, and Hunter emerges as a raw gem ready to shine under Kevin O'Connell. Jarquez Hunter may not be the hottest name in the class, but he is one of those players who have earned a place in the field due to his strength, consistency, and soul on the field. In 4 years with the Tigers, he totaled an impressive 3,371 yards on the ground and 25 rushing touchdowns, in addition to 558 receiving yards and 4 passing touchdowns, all while starting in just 2 seasons. Hunter stood out on an Auburn team that, frankly, was far from among the best in the SEC. Still, he was the focal point of the offense and dealt with defenses prepared solely to stop him. Even so, he maintained an average of 4.1 yards after first contact, something extremely rare against SEC-level defenses. He runs with anger, with intelligence, and with balance. And most importantly, he's hard to take down. The most impressive thing? On nearly 19% of his runs, he advanced for more than 10 yards, a number that speaks volumes about his explosiveness and ability to break tackles, 2 qualities that fit perfectly with Kevin O'Connell's zone run schemes. Hunter is one of those players who you feel was born to carry the ball. His cuts are smooth, his movements flow naturally, and his patience in waiting for gaps to open is worthy of a veteran. But when the gap appears, it explodes like a rocket. He's the kind of talent that often goes unnoticed in the early rounds, but leaves a lasting impact on the NFL. In addition to strength and explosiveness, Hunter also has an artistic side on the field. Literally, he loves jumping over obstacles, and he does it with a style that is as elegant as it is efficient. The run that marked his rookie season, in which he leapt over a defender for a touchdown, still circulates on social media as one of the most spectacular moments of the season. This athletic ability, combined with his courage and charisma, makes him a potential fan favorite. And that's without counting his off-field activities. Hunter is passionate about everything that involves nature: fishing, hunting, horse riding. The typical player with a grassroots soul. The kind you want to root for just because he's authentic. Points to develop? Yes, but nothing that the NFL can't polish. The biggest question about Hunter revolves around his participation in the aerial game. He doesn't have the same naturalness catching passes that he does running the ball. And yes, there were some noticeable drops at Auburn, But it's worth remembering. He still produced nearly 600 yards and 4 touchdowns receiving passes. In Kevin O'Connell's system, which values versatile backs who can contribute out of the backfield, this needs to be improved. The good news? Hunter has the right mindset to evolve. He loves the game, and his work ethic is constantly praised by coaches and teammates. Even as a starting running back, he insisted on playing on special teams. It shows the type of player he is, someone who simply doesn't want to be off the field. From a tactical standpoint, Hunter is a natural addition to the Vikings' offensive scheme. The running concepts he used at Auburn have similarities to those he applied at Minnesota. Your familiarity with this style can mean a quick adaptation, especially when combined with your playing instinct. Selecting him on day 3 of the draft would, frankly, be a steal. A player with proven production, professional mentality, athletic explosiveness, and versatility at a very low cost. And what's more, with the potential to grow even more in the NFL. If the Minnesota Vikings are serious about consolidating their running back unit and building a balanced attack, Jarquez Hunter needs to be on their radar. The talent is there. The mentality is there. And the right system, too. The marriage between Hunter and Kevin O'Connell's scheme has everything to work out. The Vikings just need to take the next step. Dalton Risner and Vikings resume talks. Minnesota offensive line could make a surprising return. The Minnesota Vikings continue to move the NFL board off the field, and even after big signings in free agency, the team may not have closed its doors to reinforcements. A familiar name has returned to the franchise's radar: veteran guard Dalton Risner, who revealed that he is in contact with the team and is considering a return to the roster in 2025. At 29 years old, Risner is still a free agent, but he is not out of the Vikings' plans, and much less out of the spotlight. During a live broadcast on TikTok on April 16th, the player shared with fans behind the scenes of his negotiations and hinted at the possibility of wearing the purple and gold uniform again. "Minnesota has shown interest in bringing me back, but only to a certain extent," Risner said. "They went out and signed a point guard for a fortune. So if I were to come back, it would have to be on the other side of the line. And Blake Brandel is an incredible player, so I don't know what the plan would be with me. But if they want to work with me, I'm willing to work with them. I love Minnesota very much, and that says a lot. I wouldn't say that about every team." Risner's words not only demonstrate respect and affection for the franchise, but also ignite a flame of optimism in part of the fan base that followed his solid performance in 2023. That season, he took over as the starting left guard and was one of the most consistent pillars of the offensive line. In 2024, he appeared in 10 games and started 8, filling holes in the roster with competence and experience. Despite the interest, the Vikings made bold moves this offseason that could affect Risner's return. The team shelled out $87.7 million over 5 years to bring in guard Will Fries, and also bolstered the center line with former Colts player Ryan Kelly, who signed a 2-year, $18 million deal. These signings make it clear that the franchise is betting big on consolidating its offensive line, but Risner could still have room, especially considering his versatility and performance. According to Pro Football Focus, he had the 3rd best pass-blocking grade among Vikings linemen in 2024, a statistic that weighs in his favor. Brandel, a possible direct competitor, was only 11th in this ranking. In addition to technical performance, Risner's emotional willingness to return could also be a differentiator. In times when locker room culture and leadership are as valued as athletic metrics, identification with the team could be an ace up his sleeve. Risco is currently a free agent, but optimistic about the future. And he made it clear to his followers that there is no shortage of possibilities open. "I'm not on a team right now," he said, smiling. "But I'll be on a team soon, I guess." What do you guys think? Do you think it's the Minnesota Vikings? Do you think it's back to Denver or the Cincinnati Bengals? I don't know. We'll see where this journey takes us. After signing a short, 1-year, $2.4 million contract in 2024, Risner appears willing to negotiate for more realistic market values this time around. With $13.4 million in career earnings, he's signaling an openness to affordable deals. And according to SpotTrack, his market value is around $6.7 million for 2 years, which could appeal to teams with limited salary cap space, like the Vikings themselves. Risner's potential return sends an important message. The Vikings' offensive line is still up in the air. The franchise has already shown that it is willing to invest heavily to protect its quarterback, whether it be the recently signed veteran Sam Darnold or a rookie who could arrive via the draft. In this scenario, Risner emerges as a reliable player already tested in the system, with familiarity with the locker room and a proven ability to adapt to different roles. It would not be a surprise to see him back at US Bank Stadium wearing purple and gold. And for many fans, that would be more than welcome. The story of Dalton Risner and the Vikings may not be over, and like any good chapter in the NFL, there is still much to come.